In the mythical world of Greece, where gods ruled over different realms of the universe, Hades, the third son of Cronus and Rhea, faced a unique destiny. Zeus, his brother, ruled the sky and became the supreme god on Mount Olympus. Poseidon, another mighty brother, was the lord of the seas and all creatures of the deep. However, Hades had no land or sea to govern. Instead, he was assigned a dark and mysterious realm, the Underworld, a place of death, where there was no light and no joy, a kingdom forever shrouded in darkness, where the souls could neither transcend nor return to the world of the living. From a young age, Hades faced discrimination and a sense of abandonment. The presence of Zeus and Poseidon always overshadowed everything, making him feel like he could never escape the shadow of his brothers. Hades had immense power, but the world did not acknowledge him, and he was not allowed to share in the rule, like Zeus or Poseidon. This loneliness was inexplicable, and it marked the beginning of a life in which he had to bear great responsibility. When Cronus, their powerful father, was overthrown in a bloody war with his children, Hades and his brothers divided the world they ruled. Zeus was granted the sky, Poseidon the ocean, and Hades. He received the underworld, a place no one wanted to go, yet a place where he would remain for eternity. Hades was not pleased with this power, nor did he desire to rule over a realm filled with death. The underworld was not a bright or powerful place. It was a gloomy kingdom, devoid of life, with only darkness and wandering souls. As the god of the underworld, Hades was responsible for maintaining order there, ensuring that the souls of the deceased would not escape his oversight. Along with mystical creatures and guardian gods, Hades had to keep the underworld from falling into chaos. Yet, despite having absolute power in his realm, Hades felt no joy. The feeling of loneliness seemed to engulf his soul. Every day, he faced the silence and coldness of the underworld. No one could understand the sorrow he carried, while the other gods on Mount Olympus lived in the light, engaged in festivities and victories. Hades could only see lost souls searching for peace, yet they could not escape the shadow of death. None of the gods on Olympus could understand Hades' loneliness. He bore the pain of ruling a place no one wished to go, no one desired to be, though he held limitless power in the underworld. For him, that power could not fill the emptiness in his heart. The underworld he ruled, where death and darkness reigned, was not a place Hades had chosen, but it was his fate, and he could not change it. One of the deepest secrets in Hades' life was that he was not a happy god. Unlike Zeus, with his supreme power, or Poseidon, with his might over the seas, Hades lived in a world of sorrow and death. Not even a god shared in his loneliness. There was no light in his underworld, only silence, death, and darkness. With all his power, Hades still could not escape the feeling that he was an outsider. His kingdom was a place without vitality, without change or transformation. The souls of the deceased would be imprisoned forever, never able to return to the world of the living. This made Hades even more sorrowful. Loneliness became an inseparable part of his life, and it was in this loneliness that Hades began to deeply understand himself. Though he was the god of death and ruled over the underworld, Hades realized that death was not the end, but merely a part of an eternal cycle. Only through death could a soul continue its journey. Life and death were inseparable, and Hades' task was to maintain that balance. Whether he wished to or not, he was the only one who could prevent death from becoming an endless catastrophe. The underworld, with all its darkness, was a part of Hades himself. And even though Hades suffered and felt lonely, he could not escape the truth. This was his fate, and he had to accept it. In the world of Greek mythology, where gods controlled not only natural elements, but also symbolized power and destiny. The story of Hades and Persephone is one of the most tragic and complex legends. Hades, the god of death, was an independent figure, separated from the outside world. But one fateful day, his life was forever changed when he met Persephone, the spring princess and daughter of Demeter, the goddess of harvest. The encounter between Hades and Persephone was not a tale of sweet and peaceful love, but a tragedy of abduction, separation, and a love strong yet full of sorrow. One day, as Persephone played in a forest, picking flowers and enjoying the beauty of nature, Hades, the god of the underworld, watched her from beneath the earth. With his power, Hades could see everything from his gloomy realm, and Persephone, a bright and lively maiden, caught his attention. No one knows exactly why, but perhaps it was because Persephone embodied spring and life, things that Hades always lacked in his cold and dark world. The underworld was a place of shadows and death, without freshness or light. Persephone, with her youth and innocence, was like a strange ray of light in the life of this god. Obsessed by her beauty and purity, Hades decided to act. He decided to take her as the queen of the underworld. No one could have guessed that a powerful god like Hades would fall in love with a girl like Persephone, the princess of spring, light, and life. Using a chariot pulled by black horses, Hades emerged from the underworld and abducted Persephone, taking her to his kingdom, where no one could stop him. When Demeter, the goddess of the harvest, discovered that her daughter had disappeared, her heart was broken. She searched everywhere for Persephone, but found no trace of her. The earth grew dark and barren. Crops could not grow, trees withered, and life seemed to halt. Demeter, in her infinite sorrow over the loss of her daughter, could do nothing to save her from the underworld. She begged Zeus, Hades' brother, to intervene and bring Persephone back. However, Zeus, though the supreme god, could do nothing because Hades, the ruler of the underworld, had acted on his own authority. Even Zeus dared not defy Hades' decision regarding the souls in the underworld. Demeter's situation worsened when she realized that this loss was not just the pain of a mother, but also a dire consequence for the entire universe. Persephone's absence caused crops to fail, and the world above began to fall into darkness. Feeling hopeless, Demeter withdrew from Mount Olympus, abandoning her role as the goddess of harvest to search for her daughter. She wandered across the earth, indifferent to her responsibilities. Her anger and sorrow caused the world to fall into an eternal winter. Although the encounter between Hades and Persephone was not a romantic love story, over time, they began to develop a complex relationship. Persephone, initially abducted and brought to a cold, dark place, gradually had to accept the reality. The god of death was not an evil figure, but a strict yet fair leader. In the underworld, Persephone began to feel Hades' own loneliness, and she also realized that she could change something in his dark realm. Still, she always remembered the world outside, where spring and light existed. Hades, though a powerful and mighty god, always had to endure loneliness and sorrow. He could not change the nature of the underworld, nor could he bring light into that dark place. When Persephone appeared, she was like a fresh breeze in his life, and slowly, Hades fell in love with her. Their love was not like others. It was not the union of two free beings. Their love was a connection between life and death, between spring and winter, between light and darkness. Persephone could not fully leave, for Hades had made her the queen of the underworld, and this bond meant she could only return to the world of the living for a certain period each year. Persephone's return to the world outside could only happen once a year. Every time spring came, Persephone would return to her mother, Demeter, and the world would be filled with life, with crops thriving. But each time autumn arrived, Persephone had to return to the underworld, where her brightness would face Hades, darkness. Their relationship was not an easy one, but it was a harmony between two opposing worlds. Hades could not bring life to Persephone, and Persephone could not bring light to the underworld. Yet they learned to share life with each other, even under harsh conditions. The separation between Persephone and Demeter changed the seasons, creating an endless cycle of spring and winter. This reflected the intersection of life and death, light and darkness, which Hades and Persephone symbolized. Although their marriage began with abduction and sorrow, over time, their love became enduring, with mutual understanding and respect. The relationship between Hades and Persephone was not limited to personal affection. It also symbolized the balance of power in the universe. Hades, though not having direct influence on the world above, like Zeus or Poseidon, controlled death and the underworld, a vital part of the cosmic cycle. Hades' love for Persephone was not just a connection between two gods, but also a balance between life and death, between renewal and decay. Hades and Persephone became important legendary figures in Greek mythology. Their union created a deep understanding of the movement of the universe. Life cannot last forever, and death is an essential part of life. Their relationship was not just about love, but about understanding and accepting the natural laws that no one can change. Hades, the powerful god of the underworld, was not just the lord of death and darkness, but also a symbol of balance in the universe. His underworld, where the souls of the deceased must endure and seek eternal rest, was always full of mystery and challenges. Yet, it was in this darkness that Hades carried a crucial responsibility to protect the balance between life and death, between light and darkness. His life and the decisions he made not only affected the underworld, but also deeply impacted the world of the living. Throughout his journey, Hades faced monumental challenges, from battles with other gods to disruptions in the natural order. Every battle, every decision carried a message about power, life, death, and the laws of the universe. Hades is not a god as intelligent, powerful, or mighty as Zeus, but he ruled over a realm that no one could violate, the underworld, where the souls of the deceased resided. His task was to govern this domain, the only place where order could be maintained amidst death and darkness. It was not an easy task. Each soul had to be classified and kept in its proper place in the underworld. Wicked souls would be punished, while virtuous souls would find peace, though they could never return to the world of the living. Hades also had the responsibility of controlling mystical creatures, like Cerberus, the three-headed dog, who guarded the gates of the underworld to ensure no one could escape. Hades not only ruled a kingdom of darkness and death, but also had to maintain a crucial balance. While the gods on Mount Olympus created life, governed the sky, seas, and lands, Hades had to ensure that death did not disrupt life. This meant he could not allow too many souls to be freed or return to the realm of the living. Maintaining order and fairness in his realm was a task Hades had to fulfill for thousands of years. Despite being a powerful god, Hades still faced interference from other gods, especially Zeus and Poseidon. This tension became particularly pronounced when the balance of the universe was threatened. Though Hades ruled his separate kingdom, he could not escape the influence of his brothers. Zeus, the supreme god of Olympus, never fully approved of Hades' rule over the underworld. Zeus had a different view of death, and the hostility between these gods sometimes led to major conflicts. A prime example of Zeus's intervention was the Titan War, where the gods of Olympus fought against the rebels. Although Hades participated in the war and helped repel the enemies, he did not always agree with Zeus's decisions. Hades believed that life was not always good and did not need to be protected at all costs. He thought that death and endings were a natural part of the universe and needed to be respected. However, Zeus, with his vision as a god ruling over the universes of Olympus, could not accept this view. Poseidon, Hades' brother, also played a significant role in these conflicts. Although the two shared a closer bond than Hades and Zeus, Poseidon still had to confront Hades at times about maintaining the balance between life and death. Their relationship was never entirely peaceful. Poseidon, the god of the oceans and of vibrant life, saw life everywhere, while Hades viewed death as an essential part of existence. Nevertheless, both had to coexist and sometimes collaborate to maintain order in the universe. As the lord of the Underworld, Hades not only had power, but also had to make difficult decisions to protect his world. One of the most important decisions Hades had to make was how to rule and maintain balance in the underworld. He could not simply allow souls to escape forever. The existence of the underworld was necessary to preserve the balance between life and death. Death was not evil. It was a part of the natural cycle the universe operated on. Hades also faced other challenges from rebellious souls. Not all souls accepted their fate, and many tried to escape the underworld to return to the living world. These were battles Hades had to address, and he never hesitated to use his power to maintain order. These souls, if not stopped, could cause chaos and disrupt the cosmic balance Hades had built over millennia. One major decision Hades had to face was the intervention of other gods in his realm. While Hades was the god of the underworld, the existence of souls could not be separated from the other gods of the universe. Every decision Hades made impacted the gods of Olympus and other parts of the cosmos. Though he had absolute power in the underworld, he could not truly make all decisions alone without the influence of the other gods. The relationship between Hades and Persephone, his wife, was also an essential aspect of the balance of the universe. Their union represented the harmony between life and death. Each year, when Persephone returned to her mother, Demeter, life on earth flourished. Flowers bloomed, trees grew, and all creatures rejoiced in the vitality of existence. However, when Persephone returned to the underworld, life paused. Winter arrived, and the earth fell into silence. The love between Hades and Persephone reflected a profound truth. Death is not the end of everything. It is merely a part of an eternal cycle. Their love not only helped sustain the existence of the underworld, but also ensured the balance between worlds. While Persephone symbolized life and spring, Hades represented death and winter. This harmony created the necessary balance to maintain order in the universe. Ultimately, Hades is not just a god of death, but a god who maintains the balance of the universe. His life and career are an eternal struggle between life and death, light and darkness, lost souls, and the eternal stillness of the underworld. While other gods govern the realms of life, Hades faces a much more difficult task: protecting and maintaining the balance of the universe, ensuring that death does not encroach upon life, and vice versa. Though Hades is a mighty and powerful god, he is not cold or indifferent. He understands that death is inseparable from life, and that endings are an essential part of how the universe functions. With a deep understanding of the nature of the underworld, Hades has become not only a strong god, but also one of great patience and fairness. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. If you found the video helpful and interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any future videos. Wishing you a wonderful day, and see you in the next video.